What interested you in taking up this role?
I think it's a really important and interesting position because, the City of Montreal has been really clear about their wants of reconciliation with Indigenous people. So I think this is a great opportunity to work with these partners, to work with different governments with this. So I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for an Indigenous that lives in Montreal,
What will be your main priorities as commissioner?
That's a really great question. So the City of Montreal has created a reconciliation plan strategy with 7 priorities. So these 7 priorities are really my guidelines of how I want to, work with these partners. We're always listening to these, Indigenous groups, listening to what the needs are and how we can help based on these 7 priorities. So it goes from, affordable housing, the homelessness situation, economic development, building nation-to-nation relationships. So it goes, it's really all the priorities that will guide me in my work.
Then the first 2 that you mentioned, affordable housing and homelessness, is something we've been talking about quite a bit over the last few months. So what are you thinking in terms of solutions and how to move those 2 issues forward?
I think we've did great things already. I think we did some stuff that is part of the solution. I think we can do totally better, and I think that this is one of my mandate right now. I've been here for 3 weeks now. I'm still meeting with the partners to see what are the needs. These people are on a daily basis working, in Montreal. They know what the needs are. They know what they need. So I'm just here to listen and see how we can help them.
Right. And is your role to help move forward solutions? Because you're going to take an assessment of the needs. But in terms of getting solutions, for example, dealing with homelessness, how do you advocate to push for solutions and long-lasting solutions?
Yeah, I think I see myself a lot like a liaison agent. So I have the needs of the communities, the groups, and this is when I go back to the City of Montreal, I go back to the different government, and I see this is what the needs are, and let's meet all together. My thinking is not on us without us. We need to be part of the conversation. Indigenous partner needs to be there to say what they need,
Right. Now, we looked at some of what you've done before taking on this role, and you were also involved with the nonprofit Kanien'kehà, which aims to educate audiences on the realities and perspectives of Indigenous peoples. What have you learned through your involvement with that organization?
From what I've learned, especially because it's an organization in Montreal, is that the diversity is amazing in Montreal in terms of Indigenous nations. We have the 11 Indigenous nations of Quebec. There's also Indigenous people from outside of Quebec, everywhere in the world. So there's an amazing diversity, a diversity of needs too. So that's where the commissioner works, is that we need to know how we can help all these populations.
Right. You also have experience working with government organizations from the federal government. You've worked with the province to an extent as well on different projects. I think it was Fête Nationale that you worked with the provincial government. What lessons did you learn doing those jobs that you can bring to this role?
I think that what's important is when I work with these organizations, I saw that there was they wanted to do something. They knew they had to do something, but they didn't know how to do it. So the reaction that a lot of people will do is that we're not going to do it because we don't want to do anything bad in terms of relations with Indigenous. So this is what I learned, is that a lot of people want to do it, but they don't know how to do it correctly. So this is where I'm coming.
So tell me about that. They don't want to do it, but they don't know how to do it correctly. Tell me about that conversation. What do you mean about not doing it correctly?
It means that they just don't want to do any faux pas. They want to make sure that if they do it, they would do it correctly. And this is where I come in and I help them, make sure to connect with the right person, how to make sure the collaboration goes both ways. And in terms of with the reconciliation strategy is to build nation-to-nation or government-to-government relations.
I just want to get that title. So, Comité de la Fête Nationale du Québec in Montreal. That's
exactly.
All right. What are some of the barriers between Indigenous and non-Indigenous worlds?
That's a good question. I think that for now, especially in Montreal, is that not a lot of people are aware that there's so many Indigenous people and so many diversity of Indigenous people, and this is where the reconciliation strategy comes into work. Is that one of our mandate is to show that there's a diversity. We're here in Montreal. We want to see in the cultural spaces and all that stuff. So this is where we need to have this connection.
Okay, and what ways do you plan to do that and facilitate that?
That's a good question. Like I said, I've been here for 3 weeks.
You're new. But...
Exactly, but there's already a lot of projects underway. Like I said, when I started, all these projects were already working, so I'm just getting up to speed, and there will be amazing things happening.
I guess let me ask you this way: and you're new. It's 3 weeks. You're getting yourself together and meeting with different people. But when you applied for this and you were interviewed, what did you tell them about what you wanted to accomplish?
I wanted to make sure that the Indigenous voices are heard. I come from, like you said, I work with Kanien'kehà, with Kanien'kehà, so I know that it can be difficult for a nonprofit organization in Montreal to get who do I talk to for this project? How do I get funding? So for me, it was to have that vision, to know that these people are working hard, they need our support. So I want to be the voice of these people.
Mm-hmm. You said in an interview this week that you aim to be the personne autochtone fatigante. What did you mean by that?
I think I wanted to say that I'm determined to move things. We have a concrete plan of reconciliation. I want to make sure that this plan happens, that we have concrete action to show that this reconciliation plan is, underway. We're already working on the report that states all the actions that were done. We're aiming to deliver that in the upcoming months. Okay. And when I talk about this project, I want to make sure that this is the action that happen, but this is where we're also going, because it doesn't mean that when the report is delivered that the reconciliation is done in Montreal. It means that we have still work to do, and this is where we want to go. Determined.
How determined? What do you need to do in terms of your approach and your tone? Are you going to be? Tell me about that.
I think I need to create connection inside the City of Montreal. I'm meeting with all these services. I want to show them that I'm available with them. I already have a sense that they want to do stuff. They want to do Indigenous, they want to work with Indigenous people. So this is where I want to make sure that they know that I'm here and that I want to work with them. Right.
How do you do that? I'm going back to the personne autochtone fatigante. How do you do that in a way that gets results and doesn't cause conflict with decision makers?
I think that with my past experiences that I've learned that, you can't be the mad person that, wants to change things. You have to understand that people come from different backgrounds, they have different knowledges of these situations. So you have to educate, and you have to educate in this respectful way that doesn't want to make you want to collaborate with me.
Mm-hmm. What do you do to make sure that your preoccupations are heard at City Hall among the elected officials?
That's a good question. I have a great relations with the élu, Gracia. So I'm working with her. I try to show that this is the priorities. This is when I meet with partners. I'm saying this is what we're hearing. This is where I want to go, and we have discussion with that.
Right. Hey, your mandate is for how long?
It doesn't have really a...
It doesn't have a...
No.
And so I want to ask you another question before you go, because you said, you in your approach, you want to make sure that, people understand and you're talking about the way you approach it. But what if you get into a situation where you're realizing where the files that you're advocating for and your determination is not moving as fast as you would like it? What happens then?
I'm really lucky to have a team behind me that helps me with this. My team believes in this mission. I have a director that also believes in this strategic plan. So this is where, they will help me move stuff. But so far, so good. I haven't had any situation like that.
All right. Well, it's been 3 weeks. We'll see. We'll keep following up with you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
That is Randy Legault-Rankin, Montreal's new commissioner for relations with Indigenous people.